something here. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and thank you, Anthony, for starting that. And okay, so, well, welcome to the June W7PRA meeting. I'm Paul Anzero Villar, chair of the board. We're going to go ahead and get started with introductions. And if we do have anybody stragglers coming in, I'll go ahead and if we're not busy doing something, I'll ask them to especially if we're not sure who, if they're new persons, I'll just ask them to just sign in, please. Anthony, why don't we start with you?
Anthony, KE70SN from rural Marion County.
And Paul B.
Paul Branchfield from rural Douglas County, W7PEB.
Right on. Representing Roseburg, I imagine. Mr. Tyler.
Guy Parsons, WB7DB in Southeast Corvallis.
Right on. Sharp and snappy dresser.
Well, I might be me. I'm Ted Mitchell, 27 RTM in the suburbs of Paloma.
Right on. Yes, well, that's how you self-identify, sir. So that's how I just like to call you. So,
And all around nice guys.
Sure. That's right. Andy, W7AAU.
Hi, Andy, W7AAU in Lynn County between Corvallis and Tangent.
Oh, okay. Didn't know you were that close. All right. How about Don and Betsy?
Don, W7DMR, Corvallis.
And Betsy, K7BTS, up the street, 7-Eleven.
Right on. And how about Mr. 7QP, aka Mr. Poda? That would be you, Ron.
Yeah, I'm getting there. It took me a moment to recognize that introduction. That Ron Post AE4JF.
And Larry, have you figured out how to get a prize yet?
I got an email, so I'll send them an email and see what's up.
Nice.
This is Larry.
Go ahead and introduce.
And you in Corvallis.
All right. And Andy number 2, A7AV.
Yeah, Andy, A7AV, Southwest Ted in rural Benton County.
Right on. And Olin, I think that's you in there.
Yes, it is. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, this is Olin, WA7YXY. Tonight I'm in Pendleton, Oregon.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. And Mike.
W7RIS, about 10 miles north of Corvallis here in the Soap Creek Valley.
Okay. And Mike, I forgot to connect with you. Do we have a training segment tonight, or do you want to just cover details of field day instead?
I got whatever it takes, so I can do, 7QP takes first priority, and then if we have any time, then I can certainly do a training segment.
Field day, but I know what you meant.
Yep. Excuse me,
Scott. You're looking a little non-video tonight. Go ahead.
Well, I'm having a bad hair day, so I don't want to show myself. So yeah, Scott here at KF7GGN, and I am at the moment in Imagine Coffee at my office in Southwest Corvallis on the way out to Philomath.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
And John, K7JU, feel free to introduce.
Hi, I'm John Schott here in Eugene, Oregon. And I've missed a lot of these meetings, but I finally got the chance to dial in tonight.
Well, we're glad you're here. We certainly appreciate you attending, and I hope you find it interesting.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start with some things here. So Mike, do you want me to move the education piece down towards the latter part of the meeting and we do the business piece?
Please do.
You're on mute,
Please do.
Mike. Okay, I think I heard you say please do.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's go with the secretary's report first.
Oh, gentlemen, I sent the minutes from our last May meeting Sunday. And if there's any additions, deletions, corrections, please email me, w7rtm@arrl.net. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted, for your continued service. And I looked at them, and of course I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know if there's anything missing, but everything looked correct. That was there. And Andy, our resident banker, aka treasurer.
Andy, our treasurer report for June 16, 2023. Our total assets are $4,270.49. We have paid $200 for our risk management liability insurance policy, and we've paid for our field day rental from the city of Corvallis. We do not have an alcohol permit. If I'm received instructions to do that, I can do that. But it requires some procedures that we haven't done before, and I'm new at it anyway. That's about it. That's the end of the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Just a moment, Andy.
Great.
Yes.
I have a
Real quick, Paul, that was $200 for the ARR insurance, and the other one, oh, the field day site.
I don't have the field day site cost in front of me. If you give me a few minutes, I'll call it up on my computer and I'll shout out when I get it up here.
No worries.
And I don't know as if I got the same report that you sent in an email, Andy. I just might gonna make sure that you're reading the right numbers. I got one for June 16th. Maybe I just misheard it.
Okay, I didn't list them separately. I just gave the total. Would you prefer me that I do the items?
Well,
I used to read
I
the
think you
items.
said. Well, what was the credit union total? That's what I think I got messed up on.
Our total on June 16 was $4,270.49.
Okay, that's a little bit higher than the email that you sent. You sent 4132, which is not a whole lot different, but I just wanted to make sure that you can send out a revised one if it's just
well,
incorrect.
4132, that's the total of the Oregon State Credit Union balances. In addition to the 4132.71, we have a PayPal balance of 136.02. We've got a square up balance of 81 cents. We got 95 cents of cash. When you add all that up together, it's 4270.49.
That's correct. Okay, let's go with that. So the total, just to be clear, the total assets that the club has is the last number that Andy gave, which is 4270. We typically give a shortened version of this about the checking, and that's what he reported earlier. So we are in the 4270 range, and with the expenses that you'll get back to Ted on the field day, I think it's around 300-ish dollars, if I remember right. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. See, I am paying attention. Okay. Website report, Ron. I did send an email to, I'm sorry, maybe a text or an email. I don't know how it went out to Anna to see if you guys could connect. Did that ever occur?
It has not occurred yet. Yeah, that's the only thing we're waiting on is just, I need to get the URL information from Anna and get it assigned. It's out there and running, just it's not easy to find at the moment.
Right. Okay. I'll let's give it a day or two, and then if I don't hear anything back from her, we'll do it again. But yeah, we'd like to get that up and running. I think it's a good presence for us to have, and it's one small step away from getting that done.
Yep.
On the same topic of the website, I still have an action. I did do my action. I just haven't received a response yet from Chris, AB7BS. I'll reach out to him again when we have the website up and running. That he said that he and I could work on a collaborative statement so that we could have coexisting W7PRA and repeater mission statements, so that people can get some clarity on that. So that'll happen, but let's get the piece with Anna and Ron completed first. Any questions on that so far? We have secretaries, treasurers, and website before I go forward. Okay, so just as a side note, I'll go ahead and bring it up here. I just wanted to let people know, share screen. Look, I'm becoming a whiz at this. I know how to unshare my screen now, so now I'm dangerous. So for anybody who's interested, there is a PRA Repeater Info Center on Facebook, and it's a request to join. And you know, Chris owns and operates that, but you can get all the updates from anything that might be relevant to the repeaters. I'm going to just post it here in the chat window. If anybody wants, they can connect to that and join and request for a join. Okay, just wanted to share that. That's, if I ever ask Chris, hey, how's the repeater doing? He's going to go check Facebook, because that's where I post everything, he says, comma, he says. So I figured I'd just teach that. And if anybody has any questions, and of course, he does update the repeater listing. Every once in a while, some of the tones change from either analog to digital, depending on the equipment that he has available. This is me just observing. It's not because I know anything. It's just because I've seen things go from tone to DCS on occasion. Okay, so the most recent event, and I thought we'd do a little roundtable. Here is anything that, you know, how many folks went to CPAC, and what kind of experience did you have? Did you learn anything? Did you buy anything? I thought just a quick roundtable would be good here. I know Paul and Mike and Larry, I know you won something, so you must have gone. Maybe we could maybe just go around. Paul, how was your experience at CPAC?
It was pretty good. At my first ever CPAC. I tried to go 3 years ago and it didn't happen. Got several sessions that I got quite a bit of information out of. I only bought one radio, so I guess that's not too bad for that much stuff that was around. I didn't buy any used junk, so I didn't clutter up my room anymore. I'm kind of looking forward to going back again. I don't know if it'll be next year or not.
Nice. What kind of radio did you buy?
I bought a Yaesu 891 for portable field day and POTA use.
Okay, very good. That sounds like the radio that Ron takes to POTA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you guys can connect up and tell war stories. Okay, Mike, did you want to add anything to that as far as your CPAC experience?
I will say that I always go there for Friday for workshops, and so they had a pretty darn good workshop there. And I was down in Visalia for the DX convention down there, and and they had their workshop on kind of the same subject. But it's like there is so much stuff to learn and be exposed with, and different ways of thinking about how to do DXing. So every site, every conference you go to, you always have a great time, and you learn something new, and you find a lot of old familiar faces there that you can chat with and find out things. I did not, let's see, no, the only thing I bought there was some power pole stuff. I did not buy any radios or any other equipment while I was out there, but I had an absolute great time. A lot of great, really cool friends, and a lot of cool people to share things and talk about stuff.
Yeah, and thanks for the camping tip, Mike. Myself and Scott and Andy, whose call sign I can't remember.
Sure.
Anyway, we all converged on the same Thousand Trail camping site, which was like less than a little over half a mile away from the site. So
yep.
That was real nice, real handy. Good call.
Very convenient.
Let's see who else went. Larry?
Yeah, it was my first kind of CPAC. It was I love it. It was interesting. I got there on Friday and I took the afternoon build-a-thon class for the InFed half-wave antenna, just to see what one of those classes were like, and put that together. And that was kind of fun. And then I Saturday I attended a couple of the seminars, one on POTA and another one on getting youth involved in radio. That was quite interesting. Got some new ideas of what to do there to kind of get youth involved. I'm still involved with scouts and still struggling to get them to go beyond just the merit badge, to actually get the license and stuff. So that was good. And I wandered around. I kind of love looking at all the new stuff, and then looking at all the all the other stuff there in the they're selling stuff. And I did pick up a used ICOM 2200 VHF radio, just as something to go in my garage. I had an old one there, but it doesn't do DCS. So I thought I got this because it did the DCS, so I can get all the different repeaters and stuff when I'm playing around in the garage. But yeah, it was interesting. I hadn't been to one of this kind of a quote bigger one. I've been to like the Rickrell, and I still someday want to go to like either the Hamcation one or the big one at the Hamvention. So one of the days I'll make it to one of those and see what those are like.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah, and by the way, Hamvention had a record number of participants this year, over 30,000 people. And I think that they count them as they come through the door each day. So if you went there for all 3 days, you got counted 3 times, right? So it's still a count, right? It's still a number of people going over the 3 or 4 days, and they have all kinds of stuff going on beforehand and afterwards. And they did a really nice thing the last year. I don't know if they did it this year, but on Sunday I think they offered either free or discounted tickets especially for those hams who just were on a fixed income and they didn't have a whole lot of money to spend. So they, I don't know if they did it this year, but it was really nice last year. They got a lot of accolades for that. Okay, who did I miss? Scott, how was your experience?
Well, thanks to you, I had a great time, on the social side of things, you and Phil. And but Phil. I basically went there with the idea I wasn't going to really buy anything because I have a tendency to do too much of that. So this year I decided now just go to the some of the talks, and I did go to a couple. One of the I think I wanted to go to the youth one, but I didn't make that. I went to what I guess the most notable one that I attended was the AUXCOM, the AUXCOMM, which, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's sort of like the new, I guess you can say, shares. We're like emergency communications, qualifications and training for working with, say, FEMA or the feds in general. It's sort of a tier above ARES and RACES. So it's a whole new standard that will be probably coming more in the forefront in the next few years. So I just wanted to find out what that was all about, and I thought that was very interesting. Maybe one of these days, Mike, I can do a talk at one of our meetings here about that for those who might be interested. And other than that, I had a great time. So that's all I want to say, and I look forward to going next year. Hopefully with you again, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Did anybody else go that I haven't called upon yet? I think this is a good roundtable of experience to see where everybody went and got.
This is John. I did not go. One of these days, maybe.
Okay, John. Yeah, thank you. So this is my first year as well, kind of like Paul. And I think Larry, you said this is your first year as well, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, I kept calling him Andy. I'm sorry, because it reminds me of an Andy, but it's Phil. Phil is the fellow that we went camping with. And he had a motorhome, and I had my camper, and Scott, and we all ate meals together, and bumped into Mike and his wife Gail and some other folks. I saw Dana KE6BRR at the convention. We bumped into each other. So it was good to see some faces. I did not buy a radio, but I did buy lots of accessories. Bought one of those Lido mounts to put in my truck so that I can have 2 heads on it. I know, Don, you were a big fan of that kind of system for search and rescue. I know, at least in the past anyway, I don't know if you still do that. But I bought some stuff from ABR, the cable professional people. So I got some filtered ferrite choke kind of cable, really professional looking choke systems. And the usual bag of parts from the parts people, you know, where you just go into the bins and you just start picking your stuff out. And some good old zip power cord so I can get my truck you know, with radios in it. So that was my experience, and we ate well, and we had a good time, and yeah, it was good camaraderie. Okay, before we go into field day, I think that's our next big topic. Does anybody have any comments or questions about anything we've talked about so far? Okay. Mike, do you want to guide us on the aspects of the field day operating wise, and then I can talk a little bit about the food situation?
Sure. So one of the things that we've been a little short on is getting some feedback from everybody on who's all coming. So we really need everybody that's going to come to end up throwing us a dart and letting us know that you're going to end up coming. So this year, the club is going to provide lunch on Saturday, dinner on Saturday, breakfast on Sunday, and whatever we cobble back together for lunch on Sunday as we're packing things up. So, so anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more. So that means if you're going to show up on Friday at 11 o'clock is when things officially can start up as far as putting up our antennas and getting organized on things on the ground. So I'll be trying to show up there probably about 10 or 10:30, and then we'll be talking about where we're going to be putting people, and then I can kind of direct you at that point in time. But for me, I'm going to kind of wait till the last minute, see who shows up, see what they bring, and figure out the best set of trees and the best location for who's going to end up showing up there. So that means, you know, Friday, 10 o'clock is when we can start putting things up. Yeah, you can show up early, but please don't take and hedge your bet as far as getting things put up before that timeline. So let's see.
Mike, I missed something. Did you say 10 or 11 a.m. on Friday?
I'm going to show up at 10, but don't start putting things up until 11. 11 is the soonest that we can start putting things up according to the rules. And I really encourage everybody to go through there and take a little bit of time and reading through the rules there. Now, I'm assuming this year, actually, Paul put out a great paper there. I haven't even had time to read through all of that. but I think our plans are still going ahead and using N3FJP to do all of our logging. So I'll get a little bit more information out on that a little bit later in the week to so everybody knows what the license key is and a guesstimate on what version we're going to end up using so everybody can get their PCs connected up. And please, before you show up, take the time to load up the software and connect it to your transceiver and make sure that it works, because it's pretty ugly when you get out there and you don't have nice internet access to end up debugging your connection with your radio with the logging program. So Andy, one other comment there with the Parks Department there. Bill has been usually pretty good about asking them to make sure they cut their grass. I haven't been there, so I don't know if it's knee high or if it's been actually cut, but it'd be nice if it was cut. And usually we get our hands on a couple picnic tables. Now we normally have to drag things around as far as finding a nice place for where we're going to put them, but we'll deal with that when we get there. So the next thing I wanted to hit on was Sunday dinner. So Sunday dinner is on customarily, we kind of ask if we have any family members or any friends or significant others. We like to end up having everybody making this kind of a big family event on a Saturday evening for dinner. So working with Paul, I think we've set the time at 6 o'clock. So if you could communicate with your family members to that aren't going to be spending the whole weekend there to come on by around 6 o'clock, that would be great. We would like to have a little bit of head count, and Paul will talk about the drop dead time on when we need that head count on when we buy food. So when Paul says that he needs it by Tuesday or needs it by Wednesday, that means we're going to go shopping on that date and buy that food. So if someone else kind of horns in or wants to be added, that person may be a little bit short on food, and they may need to bring their own supplies there because we're going to be buying what we have for head counts. The other thing that we had, and I'd like to announce it here, is that we had a silent key passing this week, and boy, that really hurt. So we lost Bill Palm, KE7ZKH, on let's see, that was what, Tuesday, I believe it, or no, it was like Wednesday when we lost him. And I sent the message out on Thursday. So that was a really tough one because he's been such an integral part of the club. So I would kind of like to, this field day, sponsor it for him because he was so important. I'd also like to take just a little bit of time on Saturday evening at dinner and do a salute to Bill and a little bit of a sharing. Everybody has had different experiences with Bill because he's been a part of all of our lives. And if we could just share something short and easy, but I'm calling it the best of Bill. So if you have that personal contact with Bill, just share a few words about the best of Bill. So I think that's probably about all the nitty gritty. I'll be throwing some more email out there this week to get everybody picked up, but that's kind of the highlights at this time. Anybody have any direct questions for me at this time before we get into food?
Yeah, Mike, I know some of us are gonna maybe bring something beyond a tent to stay overnight, like maybe a camper. Is there anything we should be aware of? I know it's dry camping. We're not expected to hook up or anything. We bring on our own power anyway, right? So I'm just trying to make sure that, we can do it. We know how many people might be doing that sort of thing. I know I plan on bringing mine. I don't know if anybody else plans on bringing something to stay over, or if they're just gonna travel home. Oh, I see Dawn and Betsy raising their hand. Okay.
Yep.
And
They like.
is there any
they like-
restrictions or constraints we need to be aware of? I guess that's my question.
No, I'm not aware of any constraints or restrictions or anything. It's just dry camping, no electricity, no water, so you need to be prepared for that. There's no area anything in that area for doing dumping your RV, so you need to take care of that afterwards. Any other questions?
We plan to head over to the fairgrounds to dump. The fairgrounds have a $10 dump station.
Cool.
We need to do that.
Thank you for letting everybody know that.
Be careful.
Yeah, that was.
Be careful what route you choose because of that low bridge on 53rd.
That's right. I've seen some air conditioners sitting there alongside the alongside that roadway there
Yeah.
a couple times.
And I'll add, like at 7QP and other things, we operate inside our trailer, but field day is a public exposure event, so we still set up tables outside.
Yep. Okay.
I plan on doing something similar, Don. Although I'll be doing a lot more running around and a little less operating, but if there's bandwidth, no pun intended, I will be operating.
So I'll make one other point is that this contest is kind of centric for HF. So if any of you guys haven't had much exposure on HF and you want a little coaching, a little helping, Elmering, this is a superb event because it's low impact. And I'm always willing to take and pass my station off to someone else that wants to end up working whatever band it is. So please don't be shy as far as coming by and say, hey, I'd like to make a few contacts. We will drop you in the seat and we will help you through it. You can listen to what's going on. We can probably give you a set of headphones so you can listen along with the guy making the contacts or even through the speaker there. But please come on by. It's a great learning experience. That's a lot of what field day is about, is learning.
And speaking of that, you gave me another idea, Mike, and that is the digital aspect. Did you get any takers for anybody committing to operating digital?
Tyler had, okay, I guess, yeah, Don and Betsy says stuff. Tyler, I don't, you're not going to make it probably. Is that true?
I'm not going to be able to operate. I've been feeling bad for about a month and I'm not really prepared.
Okay. Okay. So we have Don and Betsy going to do it. And so FT8 is kind of one of these little gems out there that are really cool as far as what you could do. And that's a very easy protocol. It doesn't take, it takes a little skill, but I think it would be fun to end up knocking down some contacts.
Modified that.
Yeah, contacts on places that would be not a whole lot of phone operations. So I think that would be a good place to go.
Good. Hey, Don and Betsy, put me down as a visitor. I'd love to see that in action.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we warmed up on the ARRL digital contest a couple of weekends ago. So
Nice.
Cool. Okay, Paul.
Mike, I think this might be a good idea to see a show of hands to see who might be coming. I can write down their names because I'm putting together a list and I need it for both food and you need it for operations.
I'll be there. Don and Betsy. Scott.
Okay. Scott, Ted, Olin, keep them up.
Arm's getting
Ron,
sore.
looks like you got some other plans. Scott, yeah, I got you, Scott. Yeah, you're on mute, but I got you. Oh, you got a +1. You're double muted. You're bringing your nephew. Sounds
Sorry,
like
my nephew, yeah, I was hitting the wrong
two
button.
words.
Yeah, my nephew will be coming, so there's two of us.
All right, got you down.
Okay.
Good. We're glad to have him.
Yeah, he'll be happy.
And Olin,
So
you were in there too? Olin, were you
Yep.
going? Okay.
And Paul, I'll
So-
stop by most likely sometime Saturday. I just don't know which, noon or later.
Well, if you want to come by at the dinner time, Andy, I mean, if that's fine, we'll put you down for the, for that, and, or whatever. We'll get to the food in a minute.
Okay. Assume that I'll be there for that.
Yeah, you
Okay.
don't have to be there the whole time. I mean, if you just show up, I mean, even for setup, we always need helpers. We always need help putting stuff up and doing that stuff. So both on helping, so that 11 o'clock time frame on Friday, and then the tear down on Sunday. It's always nice to have a few extra hands there because everybody's pretty exhausted from staying up late and getting up early.
Okay, yeah, actually that Friday might be good for me because I'm big on HF, but just from, home operation. So to see what people do out in the field would be interesting.
It's always interesting to see all of the hardware that we get up in the air and the way that we get it up there and get it secured. So that is an education by itself. Okay, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Any other questions for Mike, that we think of right now? And we can always come back to this topic. It's just because I'm thinking of them as we go here. But before we jump into the food items.
Yeah, Paul, I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm not going to be able to make it this year. I've had something come up.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Sorry you can't make it.
I had a question about antennas. So, Mike?
Yep.
So I mean, I always worried that, if I bring an antenna, it'll be redundant or there won't be any room for it. So what do you think on that?
We always find room for antennas there. There's plenty of space there to spread out. And we always seem to have, I mean, even when we've had high density of operators in there, we always seem to find places for antennas.
Okay. I'll bring maybe a vertical and a wire, and we'll just see which one fits.
I'll bet both of them will fit.
Okay.
So I had to step away, and if this has already been covered, then just say so. But did we need to contact the Parks Department to see if they can cut the grass for us, or has that been handled?
Paul, I was at the park yesterday, and the grass has been cut recently. Of course, it might grow during the week, but they've been maintaining. They've been doing normal maintenance of the site, and the grass does get mowed. Whether it's high when we get there or not, I don't know, but I think they mow it every week.
Okay. Sounds like a non-issue at the moment, even though it did rain today. I'm sure I can hear it growing tomorrow. But unless there's any concern, is anybody going to be by there I can't just tell them what to do, right? They're going to mow whatever they mow, but just be prepared in case the grass is a little taller, and whoever's coming to just, wear appropriate clothing.
I think the one big thing, if the grass is on the taller side, if I remember right, we're supposed to be wet for a couple more days and then dry out again. So one thing to be especially cautious of, if the grass is on the higher side, with generators and especially with vehicles with catalytic converters, you don't want to be sitting on top of the dry grass with that equipment that might get hot.
That sounds like a great thing for the safety officer to help us remind us to move our vehicles if we need to.
Yeah, that reminds me. We usually elect to have a safety officer. So, Olin, are you willing to maybe step up into that like you did last year?
Well, I am Not planning on spending the nights, but I'll be glad to do it and get everybody squared away.
That would be just great. We just need it as far as mostly during the setup and maybe just to be a present on the tear down, but at least on the setup is the important part.
Okay, and I'd like to caution everybody that there is poison oak out there, so. So bring your stuff and watch out.
Thank
you, Olin. As somebody suffering from that today, actually, I am a little bit too close to the too close to that topic. Okay. This is my yard is cut. The bad news is I fought the lawn and the lawn won, if you remember that song. Little
Very
twist on
good.
the words.
Very good, very good.
All right, let's get into some details here. I still have, Mike, I still have the 2 bins that have the utensils and the plates. If for some reason we run short, I mean, it's really close to go down to the store and get some items. Remind me after this, I need to bring up the idea of making a vote for a budget for this. We have to put that up to a vote. And so, but not knowing the total amount of people yet, it's a little bit tough, but we can allocate a budget. Okay. If you are operating, you're going to need more than what I listed here. This is just for food, right? But if, you know, definitely bring your own chair. There's not a lot to sit on around there. The picnic tables are limited at best, if I recall. One thing that we're not going to have is Bill's massive food tent, AKA, I don't know, it was like the mess hall back in the day. I have a 10 by 10 easy up canopy that I'll be bringing to cover whatever needs to be covered. But that's something that I'll bring and I'll offer as anybody, you know, for the food tent or whatever. But definitely bring your own chair. I'm gonna, what's the word? Encourage people to, you know, we're gonna just stay with the non-alcoholic this weekend. Just, I don't know what happens if we do that, but I don't think I want to find out. Okay, so we'll just go with that. We went with the easy route this year instead of trying to go full bore and get this. And there's new rules, and I don't really know what happened, but Bill doesn't know what happened either. When we talked to him about this, he's like, I don't know what happened. This is so easy last 2 years, 3 years. So anyway, if anybody wants to bring like something for the potluck, there is no official potluck happening, but if you want to bring something as a side dish or something, just take a look at what we are bringing, and then you can just see if there's something you would like to bring to augment that. I don't want to have a sign-up sheet or anything like that. Just, you can either participate or not participate as you wish. Okay. Thinking about doing some sort of on Saturday, doing a chicken salad sandwich with some watermelon. Depending on, you know, how many people we have, we'll have, you know, buns and other fixings. I did not list all of them, but there's things that go together with it, like lettuce, tomatoes, and etc. Things that I have a bigger list, but I just wanted to keep it simple. And we'll pick a side dish, you know, whether it's potato salad, coleslaw, or maybe some vegetable, broccoli kind of veggie salad or something cool for the summer is what I was focusing on here. And again, if you like something that's different, feel free to bring it, right? And like Olin said, if we have drier grass out there and you are starting a little propane cooker or something, you know, just be cognizant that we don't want to be in the evening news with the fire department coming out to save our butts. Okay. You know, this may look a lot like what we did for 7QP because it's just the easy thing to do. We're there to operate, and food is not the main event, but we're going to go with burgers and brats, and, you know, the usual baked beans and other things that kind of go with a picnic. And then Sunday breakfast. I usually make Egg McMuffin style sandwiches, but I can easily be convinced to leave them all separate. The eggs, the bacon, the with or without cheese, the egg, the English muffins, or you can just make your own, put it all together yourself. I'm happy to do whatever. Drew's he's not here, but I have to put him down. He's not here today at the meeting, but he did say he would assist with the food. I do not know if he's going to operate, Mike. He didn't indicate one way or the other.
Okay.
Okay. And Sunday lunch is going to be sort of any leftovers. I don't know how many people are coming or are going to be there at Sunday, so it's kind of hard to anticipate, what to do here. But whatever leftovers we have for here for lunch, you're welcome to. I'm welcome to either cook more or heat up what we have. And I do have a refrigerator in my camper that will have 120 volts, and I will be operating a generator at least for my camper, and if not, maybe for helping others operate their radios. Mike, that's a good point to make. I'm willing to do the same thing I did for 7QP, where people can plug into the generator. There's a couple of outlets which we can run power strips off of. It's 3,500 watts, if that's helpful. What's not listed on here is your beverage of choice. And I probably should have written that down here. Well, actually I did. I kind of said it. I focused on the non-beer. So I kind of focused on it, but so lemonade, iced tea, whatever, water, whatever your fancy is. So just bring it, because there's so many variations of what people like. I'd hate to try to solve everybody's and then end up wasting a lot. So and just go with that. Does anybody have any comments on the menu? And then I'll ask for a show of hands to see what people are thinking. Hang on a second. Any comments on that menu item?
We're not gonna have any sushi bar this year.
Say again, Scott?
We won't have a sushi bar this year.
No sushi bar. No, not unless you're bringing it.
Well, I'll just get my favorite sushi chef to come over.
Well, if you make it happen, I'm sure you'll have some takers.
I'm sure I will.
Let's talk about looking into the weather crystal ball. In the past few years, we've had some blazing hot temperatures. I think this year we're probably going to be a little lucky, and I expect stuff to be setting probably in the middle 80s. Last year we took the picnic tables and slid them into the shade, and it became a little bit mobile, so we could move them around to keep them in the shade and get things cooler. When you have a pop-up up and over the table, it's never in the right place at the right time, so you're always having to mess things around, and with a fair bit of wind and stuff, that makes it pretty hard to take and find a nice comfortable place to do it. So we'll try and use the trees there to provide the shade there to keep things cooler, without having to add an extra pop-up there. Another thing is that coffee, we probably want to think a little bit about that on Saturday evening. There will probably need energy drink or something, or toothpicks or something to keep eyelids open. So it might be nice to have access to coffee. I will say, Paul, having that Keurig there at 7QP, I had my doubts about it, but I'll say that is a brilliant ideal, because there is coffee made to order. You can pick your flavor of choice and your density that you need to keep your heart rate up. Next thing is water. Paul, had you thought anything more about maybe we as a club we want to buy one of the igloos, or do we want to have someone we can borrow it for the event? But having that igloo there, water cooler with plenty of ice in it and water, that made things very nice last year when it was so blazingly hot. And water is very important. We do not want to get dehydrated.
Yep. No, that's a great idea, Mike, and I did forget about it. It wasn't a big deal at 7QP. We all just kind of brought our own. But for the heat that we anticipate, I think an igloo, I can take the action to go to like Bimart or something and see if there is something available, unless somebody has one that they can bring that's, what, a 10, 15 gallon or whatever that thing is.
We don't need that big, but I mean, just a good, decent 3-gallon guy or something like that would be more 3 to 5, no more than 5, would be more than enough to take care of our needs.
5 gallons, pretty standard size.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking this big, but yeah, it's a little heavy to carry. I have water that I can bring for either drinking or washing. If people want, it's just a spigot thing. And I plan on bringing that. I use my well water. My well water is, I drink it and it seems to be fine. But if you want to bring your own, then have at it. But
so I hopefully your well is not next to Wah Chang out there.
No.
Okay.
No. Not that I'm aware of. Okay, so let's talk about the water. Does anybody have that igloo that we can get, or should we go out and hop skippy go get one before next weekend?
I recommend you buy one.
Okay.
Any idea what the cost is on Wells igloos? I'm guessing 35 or something like that, but I don't know if that's
That's about right. Yeah.
So,
I'm guessing that Bimart will have something around that price point, Mike.
Okay, so I'd like to take a move that the club acquire one of these things for club events.
I'll second it.
Okay.
And check Sportsman Warehouse over in Albany. They have a good supply.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So carried. I will
What are you
squeeze it into my
estimating?
schedule.
Yeah, what do you think you're estimating for food cost?
Well, that's a great question. So let me see if I got I have a list right here. So see if I missed anybody. I have Dawn and Betsy, Mike and Gail, Paul, that's me, Scott and his nephew, Tyler, you're gonna come with your XYL, I believe, and that's just for Saturday, and I think you said Sunday too, maybe. I don't
Sunday
remember.
breakfast too, please.
Okay. Awesome. We're gonna have a flyby by Steve, W7ETK, on Saturday night. Ted, Olin.
Yes, I'm gonna be there.
Andy, AA7AB, and Drew, and that's all I have so far. Oh, Anthony, sorry, I didn't write you down, my bad. Who else did I miss? Okay, Larry, were you planning on participating, or do you have other plans?
No, I inadvertently scheduled a scout training session that I am running on that day, so I won't be available.
All right, no worries. Hope maybe you could set up and you could make contacts wherever you wanted. There's going to be lots of activity on there. So, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have about the same as we did for 7QP, Mike,
Okay.
give or take.
Okay. So, shoot, I've got that
That's
file.
that's for the Saturday dinner.
Yeah, and so
mostly.
that was about 260, as I remember. And so I would recommend that we probably go for 300, and then and expecting it to not to exceed 300.
Yep, that's fair, and we'll cut corners where we can, like we usually do.
Okay. So anybody have any comment about that as far as thinking it should be less or more? Okay, I'd like to recommend that we take a vote on 300 for maximum.
Don't we have a standing thing for field day?
Do we?
Food? Andy, do you remember?
I believe there is a standing budget for field day for facility rental and food, and I don't remember off the top of my head what the number is, but it should already be pre-approved for food and everything for field day.
Okay. Then I guess we'll make the assumption that it's there.
Yeah, the food varies, but it's right around the same target as we have done in the past, although I've missed the past few years, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but it seems about appropriate. Opposed, not that we have to vote on it because it might already be there, but does anybody have any additions or discussion to beyond for the budget for field day?
If the number of people increase, scale it up proportionally. Don't try to cut corners.
No, we'll be fine. I usually go up by 3 or 4 beyond what I have listed
Yeah.
for each of the meals, Don, and we've never had too much left over.
Right, that's fine.
We've always had some, which means that we did a good job.
If you get like 10 more people, then scale your budget.
Okay, I'll take a look. All right, so I will put out a message and via email, and I will put the people that I have listed on here, and I'll say, if anybody is not here that is planning on showing up, and Mike, I'll copy you on it especially. I'll put it out to the group, but I'll have people respond to you as well. And hopefully they respond to both of us, so that in case there are people that are operating that aren't on this call, that they would, get to you so that we don't have any surprise. Much of a big surprise. Yep. Scott, are you going to be sharing a radio with your nephew, or do you want to? Are you going to do something else there?
No, I was gonna bring, one for him, one for myself. I don't know, we may have to share an antenna depending on how many people will be operating, and yeah, I talked to him about that. I just told him not to bring anything except his computer, and then we'll figure it out. So I have the 2 ICOM 7300s that we can use. I mean, that we use.
Mike, do you need a show of hands as far as radios or equipment goes, or are you happy with what you have so far?
I'm happy. We'll sort it out when everybody shows up, and just if you're going to be late to the show up or not going to be able to set up until Saturday morning, just let us know. But there's plenty of room out there to squeeze and put people.
Okay, I just put my text cell phone number on there. If anybody has a change of plans as far as food or operations, and I can get it to Mike. You can just use my number as a central point if you wish on the day of field day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If there's something that comes up that you need to make other plans, just let me know and I'll communicate it out. Okay. So we went through field day. Oh, John, I know you're out there. K7JU, did you have any interest? I don't know if you're on mute, or did you want to come to our field day, or do you just you got other plans?
Let's see. Well, I'd like to come, but I'm going to be in Portland all week for a Ultra Renewable Energy Conference. And then I've got a bunch of stuff to do at home. But I've got to talk to my oldest daughter to see if her boys might want to go. And we might possibly go up there maybe Saturday afternoon, evening maybe. But can't say for sure yet.
Okay. Well, you have my text number. Why don't you, you'll see the emails if you're on the Reflector. And if you're not, you'll see them if you're on the Ham Club online. And if not, you have my text number. Just let me know what you decide, okay?
I'll do that.
And that's just in regards for the food, like to Dawn's point, we want to make sure we have enough for everybody, especially in
Right.
our main meal, which is going to be Saturday night,
Right.
and where we honor Bill. Yep. Okay, should we close the topic of field day for now, or are we good? Does anybody have any other questions? Okay. I'll throw it out there to see if there's any new business or upcoming events or any items of interest. And then Mike, I'll leave it back to you to see if you want to present anything. If you find that if you want to hold off and do it another time, you want to do it tonight, that's fine. But does anybody have any additional items that they would like to talk about?
Hey, Paul, do we want to think about a picnic in August?
Yes, thank you. So for those of you who weren't here last August, I had the brilliant idea of doing a picnic in POTA. Park on the Air was such a big, thing over COVID, and it has really taken off as far as momentum goes. Ron here is our chief POTA expert, at least on the screen anyway, that I know of. And so we had several, I think 4 stations last year, and we had a picnic in the park. We put it far enough away from field day so it didn't feel like we were doing it so back to back. My idea was to see if there was any interest in doing something in August like we did last year. And I'm open to the location as well as not just I just want to know about the concept. Does anybody want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing more yeses than nos. Okay, great. So Scott willingly offered to help organize pieces and parts of that. So I'll send out an email later after field day. So we'll give it some time for people to put all their equipment away so that they can take it out again. But it's a great idea. It's a great opportunity. And we had a lot of fun last year, and it happened to be our first time getting together in person for a long time. So it was a double win. Thank you, Ron. Good idea. And since you're a master of parks, if you have any input on ideas on other locations, the place we went to, Sarah Helmick, was nice. I mean, we're not limited to there. The budget for that, by the way, was like $50 for the day. It was really cheap as far as the park rental goes. So, but send me an email. And we'll bring it up at the July meeting. Okay, one last call for any other items of interest or new business. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and hand it back over to Mike if he wants to present something or not.
I've got a couple things quick. So first, I'm going to throw Scott into the spotlight for the tech class that he did guess that still qualifies as a few-ish weeks ago. Have him talk about that, and then I will take it from there. So,
You want to say something?
yeah,
Oh,
we had a very successful tech class. So,
yeah, we did. There was not so much me, it was the students that were really sharp and prepared. But we want to have another one next month. And Anthony, I don't remember if I even emailed you because I wanted to ask you what weekend you thought was best. We kind of thought maybe right after the 4th of July or perhaps the weekend even after that. And then, because there was interest expressed in having a summer tech class as well. So we did it with this year, or what we did was we used the exam tools, which is a strictly digital way of doing the test now. And you can do either, in person or online testing that way. So fortunately, Declan O'Hara, who's the president of the OSU Ham Club, who has a lot of experience with exam tools online, came and was one of our BEs. So he kind of guided me through it. I had been through an exam tool session before, but I was not a lead VE. I was just one of the regular VEs. So I didn't know all the ins and outs, and he guided me through all that. So it went extremely smoothly. It was great, and the students loved it. So we'll stick with that format from now on. No more paper stuff at all. But the tech class was very good. Well, one of the things that I forgot to mention at CPAC, there was a booth there by a couple who were the husband of the couple wrote a whole series of license books, rivaling, the ARRL book and the book by what's his name? Gordon West. So it's very good. So I thought, I was going to give that one a try. It's a little bit about $10 cheaper than the ARRL book. So I bought the technician book, and I looked through it already. It's very, very good. I might use their format for the next class, but we'll discuss that. So Anthony, so anyway, if anybody knows of anyone who wants to, take a tech class in person, let them know. We'll probably be doing it mid-July or third week of July, depending on what we settle on here. And I'll have to advertise the class and so forth, but it will be available. And of course, it's free, except for the testing fee. But anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so Anthony, I guess, is there any more you think that we should talk about there regarding that?
Well, the part I was going to talk about is actually the testing fee. So I got signed up with Laurel VEC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Recently, and so for those that aren't as caught up with it, so you've got the different VECs out there, of which people probably heard of GLARG, people probably definitely heard of ARRL, and there are a handful of other organizations that are part of the committee of organizations that organizes the question pools for the exams, as well as organizes the volunteers as the examiners to actually administer the testings. And so the fee you pay when you sit for the test is set by the VEC that coordinates that particular group of volunteers. And so one of the main advantages of working with Laurel over ARRL in particular is Laurel's exam fee is $0.00. So any applicant that wants to come in and take the test can do so, and they wouldn't have to actually pay any money to take the test, and they wouldn't have any out of pocket until they actually passed the test and got the email from the FCC to pay the FCC fee. So still works with exam tools in more or less the exact same fashion as that for ARRL or pretty much all the other VECs now. But the big thing is we can test people for free.
Yeah, I like that. I would prefer that actually, because it's enough they have to pay now the $35 to get their license. So and plus they have to pay if they fail the test, they want to take it over again, and they have to pay another $15 to the ARRL. So that's kind of an extra burden, and I would definitely prefer working with Laurel. So thank you, Anthony, for spearheading that. And I just want to mention Andy Noble was also a VE when we did the exam. So I want to thank Andy for being there too. So thank you, Andy. And we had Spike Smith, who is not a member of our club, but he's a member of Aries. I don't know if any of you guys know him. So he was with the other VE. In any case, yeah, that'd be great. I also would, like to make it part of our club, as far as, saying that, we kind of not sponsor the tech class, but we offer it, we kind of back it. So I could tell people, yes, PRA is behind the classes as well. And definitely want to offer them, several, maybe 6 times a year, or maybe even more than that, like what they do up in Salem, and I think in Eugene as well. I think they have a monthly tech class and test session. So I think we can do something like that here. There seems to be a demand for it in our county, so it's something that I think is worth pursuing. So thanks.
Thank you, Scott. I put that on the list of board member items that we'll bring up, as far as, do we want to somehow sponsor and or whatever, certainly.
Yeah, some association, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, some sort of association. So I'll put that on there. That'll be a great topic.
yeah.
Thank you, Anthony and Scott, for doing that. That's great for the community. Okay, anything else? I will mention one thing. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary, actually in August. And so I'll make an announcement now. According to the ARRL anyway, as of August 15th, 2013. So we will have our 10-year anniversary. So this might be a really great time to do a picnic and photo, just kind of all sort of aligned, like the stars. So doesn't have to be that day, but we can certainly again recognize the club and some of its history.
I have minutes that date back to
Do you have anything?
2012.
What was that,
I
Ted?
have minutes that date back to 2012.
Yeah, I think it's as far as we've become an ARRL official club. I think that might have been what it is. So I was gonna ask it to some of the folks that have been around longer than me. But that was the message that I got from, I think, Bonnie Altus. I think she sent it out to Anthony and myself. She's just the last email she had, so. We'll see if we want to do something with it. Hearing nothing else, unless somebody else something else to add. Mike, did you want to go through any subject tonight, or did you want to pass on it? It's really up to you.
The subject I have is probably about a 40 minute program, and I think that we would probably I think we probably want to pass on it, and then we'll pick it up the next time.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having something for us, Mike, and I think the message that you brought out about being ready for field day, making sure your computers are connected to your radios, making sure your stuff is working. I will absolutely be the first person to say, check your coax connections. If they twist in your hand, leave them home. And if you need to borrow some coax, come see me. I will probably have 500 feet of it with me. And if you need a segment, again, I'll be happy to lend you one, as long as I get it back. I can't seem to go to a Hamfest without buying a 100-footer.
Yep. I'll bring up one other little thing, is that kind of surprising this year up at the 7QP event, we started getting a little picky about noise level. You know, we don't have any electrical stuff up there except for what we bring along with us. And so as we started picking through things, we found that we had some places we were getting some generator noise. Now, where we will be in town, it's not a particularly quiet place electrically, but I think we probably want to start thinking a little bit closer when we do work in those rare areas where we want something to be electrically quiet. We probably need to pay a little more attention to our generator and make sure that it's not creating a little extra noise for us.
It's a good point, Mike. I also have picked up a shorter ground rod for traveling, and I plan on grounding my generator just to see if that makes any difference. And I know we tried to isolate some of this stuff at 7QP, and we did a pretty good job. But it wasn't, you know, you can't get rid of all of it.
Yep. So yeah, ground rods out there, that ground is really ugly as far as driving it in very far. Generally, you know, if I try putting a 3-inch piece of steel down into that, it's bent in 4 different directions. So just be prepared when you do end up trying to get it out. It's going to be a pain, and it's not going to be in the same shape it is when you drove it in.
Probably I know the ground isn't very good either as a conductor. So if anything, everybody can tie their radio grounds to that particular ground rod just by wire, and then that would probably, if there's a noise issue, that might solve the problem. So, I mean, otherwise everybody have to drive a ground rod into the ground, and you'd have to rely on the good connectivity of the ground to make it work. So
Yeah.
I don't think that ground is that great.
No, it is poor, very, very poor ground, but we have a lot of real estate out there to try, and if we wanted to connect things up that direction.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, that piece of wire that you have for grounding is now going to become a radiator.
That's true too, yeah. So
Plus, you don't want to tie your ground to the connection of a noisy generator. You want it separate.
Yep.
Ferrites though can be helpful. Put ferrites on your power lead coming off the generator so that you aren't radiating the noise out from the wire.
Yeah, just have a long extension cord and take your generator and put next to your neighbor.
Yeah. Don't do like I did and put it under the window of the bedroom of the RV when your wife is going to sleep.
Nope.
Trying to go to sleep.
Yes.
Okay. Any other topics? I think it's safe to say that Mike and I are both open to email communication. If you have any thoughts after this regarding field day, we want to make it obviously a success. We want it to be us to be safe. And so the goal is for public relations and for camaraderie, and it's not really a contest, it's an exercise. So it's our challenge to get out in the field and do like the ARRL says. And but there is a little bit of competitive spirit in there, and that's fine. I think that's a healthy thing to have.
I'll bring up one other thing.
Does anybody know what the solar indexes that they're going to be? Any anticipation of higher bands?
We're too far out. I mean, every day they predict that it's going to be halfway decent, and when they actually get the solar calculations done, it turns into be a crummy day. So one of the things that I'll just point out is that it always seems what happens I always point out what happens 2 days before we have any major contest this season. We always have a solar flare. So that solar flare takes about 2 days to get to Earth. And guess what? It messes up. So I don't know if it's going to happen now or not, but we'll just have to take it at whatever it comes, because everybody else has to deal in the same swamp.
right now the solar flux index is 169. That's today, so who knows? But I think that yeah, Mike's right. It's not the solar flux indexes as much as it could be a solar flare that'll screw things up.
Yep.
They'll put a lot of noise on the bands, and everybody will be what happened to us, I guess, on 7QP. But if the solar flux index is up and it's quiet, then we'll be looking pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm seeing solar flux index setting at 169, but it's showing yellow, which means we have a magnetic storm that is going through there, pushing around our magnetosphere.
Yeah.
And causing, 20 meters was meager today. 15 actually woke up a little while, and I kept poking around it a couple times today, and I never found any good fishing holes. Bands were pretty crummy today. So basically today and tomorrow it's supposed to be 2 crummy days.
According to the sorry, can I say something, or should we just quit?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott. Yep.
No, I was just gonna say, like, after, when Mike, when you sent us the results from 7QP, and I went ahead and went on the website and looked at their the synopsis report. So they showed showed the statistics, and 20 meters was the band by far for everybody to be on. So 15. Yep. Mike, should we anticipate 15 not to be such a great band for field day, or what do you think?
Well, I was hoping on 7QP, because the day before 15 was just hot as a firecracker. It was pretty much equivalent to 20. 20, you had more people to fight. 15 was a little lightly loaded, but you had virtually the same propagation. So I was hoping the same thing to experience when we did our activation up there on Saturday, but that didn't happen. 15 got torn out from underneath us. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, you know, here's another little piece of golden nugget. This last Monday, 7 days back, was the absolute best worldwide opening for 6 meters. Anybody that spends any time dabbling around on 6 meters, they understand how persnickety that band is and how tough it is sometimes to make contact. But on 6 meters, it was open to the world. I mean, there was a bazillion, once the food frenzy started, there was a bazillion people in there on 6 meters. But that day was like 1 in 100 years. I mean, there was guys that out there that talking to them afterwards, a couple of days afterwards, they said that they had never in their lifetime seen 6 meters like that. Who knows? We'll just have to play the game.
Was there any special solar activity that may have caused that, or was just a coincidence?
It was basically mostly E-skip, so there was enough dust and particles getting trapped in the magnetosphere that allowed 6 meters to come alive, and it allowed for tropospheric ducting, so it wasn't bouncing back to Earth, it was traveling inside the ionosphere for a longer distance before it got reflected back out.
Okay. So, we're gonna have the big meteor shower, what's the name,
yeah,
like Pleiades, anyway, you know which one I'm talking about in August. Is that a good time to
yeah, excellent time. It's and it comes and goes, but yeah, in that August time frame,
yeah,
is a great time to get on 6 meters and see what you can do. So actually for me right now, 6 meters is my hot bucket, where anytime I can find it open, I'm out there trying to take and close up worked all states on 6 meters. So that'll make, I think, the 10th band for WAS.
Yeah.
I will say,
Awesome. I think several of us are fired up for field day, or at least trying it. And if you can't operate, maybe just contact from your home. There is a 1 delta opportunity. I don't think you can do more than 1 delta if I remember the rules right, but you can operate from your home, commercial power, etc. So if you can't make it to field day, feel free to jump on and throw some points.
Yep, please do.
I will say for solar stuff, it's a little early now for it to be of a lot of use for us for immediately, but there is been a lot of really interesting data coming out of the Parker Solar Probe, most recently on measuring and kind of firming up the theories on how the solar wind forms and stuff like that, and so their predictions may be in a position to get better in the not too distant future.
Yep. Yeah, another thing that I'm watching right now is the D-layer absorption. So that D-layer absorption is working over Asia, coming up on India, and it's fairly intense. So just a moment. That is messing up 40 meters, taking 40 meters out and attenuating a little bit on 20 meters. So that's another thing you have to watch for in the middle of the daytime, is that D-layer absorption.
But usually 20 meters has no problem getting through that. So that's unusual, huh? Usually 20 meters is no problem.
No, it all depends on how hot that sun is and how hard it's radiating. If it's really exciting all the way down to the D layer, burning through the F1 and F2, when it gets down to the D layer and it warms that up with a whole lot of radiation, that's going to get dense enough where it's going to shut down 20 meters. That's one of the things I couldn't believe that, you know, the hot shots I was with down in Grenada, I thought these guys knew all this stuff. And along about about 11:30, they said 20 meters just shut down the middle, and we were down on the equator. And it's like, what's going on? They couldn't figure it out. I got my little cell phone out, took a look at the solar indices and saw where the old D-layer absorption was just basically cooking out 20 meters, and had it shut down. Predicted as it moved through there, we should see things coming back about 1:45, 2 o'clock. Well, about 1:45, 20 meters started coming back in.
Wow.
Just like clockwork. It's all physics, and we know about that real well.
Well, yesterday 20 meters was very dead too. I was out at LC and I was listening, and there was maybe 3 or 4 stations on the whole band, and that was around, you know, noontime.
Yeah, very bad.
Or 11 o'clock. Yeah, I was like, wow, where's everybody?
Yeah, and that D-layer absorption, you know, in that October, September, October timeframe, and that March, April timeframe on the equator, that gets really bad when you have an active sun.
Well, I didn't realize 20 meters would be taken out.
Oh, yeah, actually this year I've seen it worse than that, where it actually climbed all the way up into all the way up into 15 and basically shut 15 off. Actually, it didn't completely shut it off, but it attenuated it quite a bit. Yeah, they have nice little graphs there that shows you how much it's attenuating certain frequencies.
Which website would that be, Mike?
I use the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center.
Okay. Thanks for that. Because normally I never pay attention to the D-layer, unless, you know, you're talking about low bands, but
I mean,
okay.
right now, the bread and butter, that's 20 and 15 meters. If you can get a little activity in 12 meter, that's great. And 10 meters has been really sparse. I mean, we've had some good days and mostly really bad days on 10. Anyway, that's all I can think about.
Okay. Any other last minute topics? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and close this session.
I'll bring up one other thing, something that I shared a little while back about the RIB, radio in a box.
Oh, the radio in a box.
Yeah. And so a lot of people had a lot of feedback off of that. And at the International DX Convention in Visalia, they had one of those boxes there that I could look into, touch and feel, see all the wiring, see what they had in there. And that was really a really cool, great thing to be able to physically see that and understand what it meant. And so Ducie Island has popped up, and that's number 51. I think I reported that. And that, I'm trying to find my piece of paper here. No, okay. Anyway, so I think it's 51 or 56, a most wanted. And that is kind of the first significant de-expedition that they're running 4 bands, 4 different RIB radios in a box setting on the island. So there's a bunch of different articles on there. If you go out and take a look at that, you can read on how they're treating it, how they're using it, and how well it's working. Once actually another ham on the morning net that I usually get on, morning group, they told me, hey, Ducie's on. I went down, worked Ducie on 20 and 15 in a matter of 5 minutes. And then I was back up on 20 meters, screwing around, making some calls. The Arabian Peninsula was waking up, and I was catching some stuff off of there. And next thing I know, I have some guy from India calling me. And
Wow.
and India is one of those really hard places to get, and frickin' India is giving me a call. And so, I didn't waste any time with that. There's there is another guy off of can't remember the call sign there, but off of the southern tip of India to the west, there's a group of islands. About 2 or 3 months ago, there was a guy over there just by himself working. And it's like, next thing you knew, he had huge, massive pileups. And he says, sorry, I'm out of money. I have to go home. So when he said, you're out of money, I have to go home. Well, he went home, but then the next thing I knew, they put together a crowdfunding site. And so they put together a whole pile of money for him to go back over to those islands and start activating it. So it's like
Wow.
a way of paying for getting someone over there. So he's back over there again, and again, that guy is just getting pounded with guys trying to make connections with him. And I think he's on an island that's 50 something. I don't remember what it is, 56 or something like that. And so, but anyway, it's pretty funny. And then so there's more discussion in this group going on, talking about, well, okay, now that he's done this island, we need to get him moved over to this other island. We need to figure out how much money we're going to get for him. It's like everybody's planning his life on what he's going to do. But I mean, can you ask for a better profession as far as a ham radio operator getting paid to go to these islands?
Yeah, it's expenses. Yes, expenses.
Yeah. But
that's cool. That's a great story, Mike.
Yep.
And it's using the tools of today. It used to be the old, send $5 for a QSL card, to support the trip that we just took. Now it's a crowdfunding, GoFundMe or something.
Yeah, that's another interesting topic, but that's for another night. But I had a real good discussion about the QSL Bureau for handling all the cards, and it's how long it's going to last. Is it really credible or viable anymore? About all the Italian and Japanese cards that go through there, and looking at the percentage of those cards that get trashed. Every month they get about a 50 to 70 pound bag of QSL cards to the 7th area QSL Bureau directly from Japan. Japan. It doesn't go through the ARL headquarters. It goes directly to the bureau there. Well, over 90% of those darn cards go into the trash. Out of that 70 pounds of 50 to 70 pounds go into the trash. So it's like, well, do they really have any relevance anymore? So anyway, that's another discussion. We can talk about that one later.
Yeah. Sign of the times, maybe.
Well, and that's what I brought up.
Oh, hey, great discussion. Yeah, great. No, if you have something else, Mike, go ahead. I mean, this is all interesting stuff. It's relevant.
The point there that I was making there is that this world is becoming paperless. That is a waste of resources. And so why are we still doing that? And who's doing the pushback as far as not having as all this paper going back and forth, where 80 to 90% of it goes into the trash. So that was a whole nother good discussion, but that's something else. I just noticed that our delayer absorption really got ratcheted up, and right now over Asia, it's taking out the 15 meter band. It's dead. So the other part on that delayer absorption is that it moves across the ocean, that sunspot. That's cool land down there, so it doesn't get reflected back up in the D layer to warm things up. So as it moves across land, that's hotter area there, and that radiation does get reflected back up into the D layer, and warms it even more. So it's well over land right now, and it's really, really sucking up the, screwing up the D layer. Okay, I'll shut up, let everybody get on and have their nightly glass of wine or whatever.
Okay, thanks all for attending the June monthly W7PRA club meeting. And thanks especially to John for joining us today. Hopefully you found it interesting and hope that you can stop by and see us on field day. We'd love to have you.
You're welcome. I hope I can too.
Yep.
It's good to be
Okay.
at the meeting again here.
Yeah. Do you know it's at Willamette Park in Corvallis, right? Just in case you're
Yeah.
not on the.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I am on
Good.
the list. I get those notices.
Good. Awesome. Glad to hear. All right. I think we can go ahead and close the meeting. Thank you. We have a couple of action items. I'll go ahead and do that. We'll go get the food and I'll send out an email to make sure that we have as many people that intended to respond. And we'll have a great, successful and fun-filled field day.
We'll see you all there.
And Ron, you won the background of the night award.
Yep.
So just not that there is an award, but you won it tonight. So that was cool. All right, 73, everybody.
All right.
Catch you later.
Have a good night, all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
23.